Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me on There's a Fight Story. We have Michael Montero with us. Michael, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. You had a busy day today?
Yeah, busy morning. Got up early and got in some last sparring before my fight next week. So I'm a little scatterbrained right now. I just like got home, ate something real quick, jumped in the shower, and joining you live. So yeah, literally just came from the gym.
Thank you so much
Oh,
for
thank you
taking
for
this.
having me.
Yeah, and also I want to thank Jacob Rodriguez for the
Mhm.
article that he wrote because when you shared that, that's what prompted me because it's so important. Just everything that we're going to be talking about mental health. It's so important. So
Yeah,
by him doing
absolutely.
that, it allowed me
He
to
did such a
ask
great
him.
job
Yeah.
with that article. We talked for like an hour, and then he took our conversation and wrote that article from our conversation. It was a beautiful piece. He did a great job.
Yeah, it was great. I felt like I knew you when I was reading it.
Yeah. You're not the first person to say that. A few people have told me that, which is really, really cool. That's what you want from an article like that.
Yes. Gotta love technology. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, where do I start? From Detroit and former Marine. I lived in Los Angeles for 10 years before moving to Atlanta 3 years ago with my then fiance, now wife. We got married last year. And as far as my background in boxing, I first boxed and first trained and everything in the Marine Corps. That goes back 20 years. I'm 42 years old. And when I was in LA, even before LA, I wrote about boxing, I blogged about it. But when I got in LA, I got into the actual media scene. Started at the very bottom, covering amateur shows and semi-amateur or semi-pro shows, and just worked my way up. And I've been at Ring Magazine now for several years. Before that, I was with Boxing Monthly magazine. You can actually see some of the covers back behind me here in my studio. Um, yeah, I was with Boxing Monthly for several years, and then unfortunately last year during COVID, we the magazine was discontinued. But now I'm exclusive with Ring. Oh, Igdalia. Oh. I think the stream. I don't know. I don't know if I might still be live. So if I'm live talking to myself, I apologize, everyone. But it looks like she is off. Let's see if I can message her. There you are. Okay, okay. I was just about to message you. I don't know what happened. What happened? Are we still live?
Yes, we are.
Okay, okay. You're real quiet. Your volume turned down.
Oh, did
Yeah.
what
Your
happened?
the screen keeps freezing.
I love technology. I do. I do. I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Is it raining up there or something? Is there a storm?
It was not today. I think it cleared up.
Okay. Cuz that will mess me up sometimes if there's a big storm. It'll
Yeah,
get like glitchy and yeah. Well, I don't
yeah.
know how much of my story you heard. I just kept talking, so I
That's
don't.
good. I'll go back and hear what you said.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know if I'm talking to outer space or what right now, but all right.
Oh my goodness. How did you get into being a reporter podcaster for boxing?
Well, I blogged and kind of wrote about boxing on my social going back to like the early 2000s. But in 2009, I got introduced to a fighter that fought on the LA Matadors, which was like a semi pro World Series of boxing team based in LA. And one of the guys I met at the gym knew one of the fighters on the team and said, "Hey, I can get you press credentials if you cover our fighter," because he knew somebody who had this fighter was from Texas, and they knew somebody that ran like a newspaper back in Texas, and I didn't even know what a media credential was. I had no idea. I'm like, what is this? Okay. And they told me, sit next to the ring, write about what's happening. Interview the fighters after the fight. Okay, I could do that. And, I could barely formulate a sentence at that time. My articles were really bad. I look back now, I'm like, oh my God, but they got better. I learned by screwing up, and I'm hard-headed. So that's how I learn most of the time. And it just got better and better. And I worked my way up to, I worked for a Boxing Monthly magazine for a while, which was a British magazine that discontinued last year during COVID. Unfortunately, it didn't make it through COVID. But that's a magazine that went back decades, and I wrote for them. And then I started working with Ring magazine a few years ago. And of course, Ring, we go back, got the latest one right here. Boom. We go back 100 years. So I'm really, really proud to be at Ring. And I started doing a podcast, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, just sitting on my couch talking about boxing, and it's progressed. I've built every dime I've made, I've reinvested, built this studio, built everything in here. And it's good. It's really good right now. I'm in a good place. If we could just get some big fights to happen this year, that will be all right.
They will happen. Well, we have a big fight happening September 16th.
Hey, there we go. That's right.
We're starting it with you.
That's the fight of the week.
Exactly. It's going to be the fight of the year.
Oh, cool. Hey, I like that. I'm going out there with that attitude. I'm going out there to bring the drama, to bring the heat. That's the way I've been training. My coaches actually have had to settle me down and say, hey, that's enough. Stop. So I convinced my coach to let me go for a run tomorrow. I'm going to go for a 5K tomorrow, and then I'm going to stop. Nothing until Thursday. So let myself rest and recoup. I got some nagging injuries, but I just got this nervous energy. I want to fight. And the only way I could get it out is to physicalize it,
Yeah. Why has boxing been such a big impact in your life?
Yeah, I grew up around it. My family always loved boxing, and being from Detroit, that's a fight town. There's a tradition there, a culture there. I grew up in a rough neighborhood, and I got picked on a lot. I looked different than a lot of the kids in my neighborhood, and I had to learn how to fight at a pretty young age and defend myself. But boxing, it just, for whatever reason, it's always spoken to me. It's an underground sport. Like I call it like underground mainstream, or mainstream underground, because I feel like everybody knows about boxing. It's part of our culture. I'm saying? There's so many like phrases that like business people use, like, hey, let's roll with the punches this quarter, guys. Like, what I'm saying? Like they know the terminology. It's part of our culture, but not everybody watches it, so that's why I call it like underground mainstream. But I feel like it's our thing. It's like this tiny little community. And MMA is the same way, although MMA is a lot more popular, I would say, in America, with like middle America, the mainstream media. Boxing is become more underground, but I kind of like that about it, to be honest. I like that it's an underground sport.
And is boxing the only sport that you cover?
Yeah, as far as media goes, yeah. I probably could cover more sports. I'm pretty knowledgeable with basketball, with football, but I'm most passionate about boxing. So it's not even like work talking about this. I just love talking about it.
And the name of your podcast is?
The Neutral Corner. And it's every Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern time on the Ring Digital's YouTube channel. So it's Ring Magazine's YouTube channel. We go live there. And then the following day, the audio version, because that's the video every Monday, the audio version goes out on my platforms, Montero on Boxing, all around the world.
Nice. Now, September 16th is a special day for you. Mm-hmm. What would you like to share about it?
Well, I mean, you read the article. Last November, right before the holidays, my brother Anthony died of a drug overdose, fentanyl specifically. And at least that's what we think. We don't really, the police were, the information was really hard to get, but we think it was fentanyl. He got mixed up with some, some gangs and some bad things. And he had struggled with, mental health and addiction and stuff for a lot of his adult life. And last August, actually went out he was in Long Beach at the time. I went out there and tried to get him out of a really bad situation. There was actually a contract on his head. Some people were trying to whack him out. So I put my life at risk. And by the way, I got married the following week. So like literally the week before my wedding, I did this. My wife was not crazy about it, but she understood that this was my brother, my best friend, and I had to try to save his life. Mm-hmm. So I went out there and got him out of that situation, kind of kicking and screaming. He kind of didn't want to go. Drove him across the country, while basically detoxing in my back seat, which you could imagine how messy and crazy that got. It was bad. There was a few times where I had to get physical with him to keep him there. And I took him to my dad's house. He got cleaned up for a little bit, convinced my family. My dad's in North Carolina. So they were, a few hours from me. I couldn't stay there and watch him. I had other things I had to take care of. And he convinced them that he was okay to go back to Cali and start working. He had found like a part-time job, and he wanted to get there and start working and making money again because he had acquired so much debt. He had spent all his money, and he wanted to get out of debt. So he went out there, and within 3 weeks, he died. And after that, I went through, a pretty bad depression. I was drinking a lot. I was eating really bad. I was withdrawing from my family, from my friends. I wasn't being a very good husband, wasn't being a very good son or brother to my sister. And I'm the oldest. So I feel that responsibility as the oldest, especially like in a Latin heritage family. That's a big, the oldest son, so after we wanted to have a memorial for my brother, but it kept getting pushed back because of COVID. We weren't able to do a memorial for him until January, until like over 2 months after he had died. But when we did that, I just kind of had this epiphany of, man, I look like shit. I feel like shit. I'm going to get myself in shape. I'm going to clean myself up, and I'm going to somehow, some way dedicate a fight to my brother because he loved boxing just like me. And I didn't know at the time that this event coming up this Thursday was going to happen. But I got in touch with the promoter through her publicist. Terry Moss is the promoter. Amy Green is the publicist. And she got me in touch with her. And when she told me about this event, it was just like, wow, the universe is just kind of lining things up, putting people in my life. And what's crazy is the coach I'm training with, Christian Steele, he's a professional fighter from Philly who moved down here to Atlanta and started a gym down here. I literally walked into his gym the day my brother died. And the morning we found out he died, I trained with him for the first time. So just the way all these things have been lining up, it feels like the universe put me in together with some of these people, and just wonderful people, by the way. So I'm in a position now where I feel alive. I feel good. I feel positive. I feel confident that I'm going to go out there and make my brother proud this Thursday.
Wow. I'm speechless. Sorry. I know what it is to lose a sibling, and so yeah, it hits home.
It's hard, right? I don't know, how long has it been for you?
It's been too long. He died in 2014 of a heart attack. And you never get over it. You learn. Learn how to just move forward, but you never get over it. And it's like, and for me, I hear my brother,
up and down. Yeah.
like I'll hear my brother laughing, or when my siblings are talking, we'll start laughing, and we're like, okay, Elias, because that's something my brother would have said. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
he's always with us, but that void, no matter what we do, it's never gonna go
It's
away. You know?
do you find yourself wanting to text him, or
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting.
I
Like,
get all the time, all the time. I will, the inside jokes.
mhm.
I miss that so much, because we had, those inside jokes, and certain ones that we could like finish each other's
Yeah.
sentences. We would do voices. We love to do voices of
Mhm.
different people and stuff. And I hear the voices in my head
Yes.
that he does, and we joke to each other still. But then I'm like, oh, let me call that mother,
Yeah.
and I can't call him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've done that. I've picked up the phone to send him a text message, or
yes.
one day out of the blue, it's like, but I haven't spoken to him in a while. Let me go. And I pick up the phone, and I was like, oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's, unless somebody has gone through it, they don't really understand it. And everybody's different. You know what I mean? Everybody has a different relationship. So, some people are like, ah, get over it.
No.
We tried losing an arm, and
Yeah.
then,
A part of yourself.
yeah. And then all of a sudden you go to reach with that particular arm that's no longer there. It's like, oh, wait, because it's a part of you.
And then it hits you again, because you're
Yeah.
reminded. It's not that you forget, but you kind of do get lost in your life, and you're doing things, you're working, and it just goes into the back of your mind. And then when you want to call that person, boom, it hits you again, like a punch in the face, and you're like, oh, that's right, he's dead. Shit.
Yeah.
And it just, it's crazy. The emotions,
Yeah.
the way, for me, sometimes it's anger,
Yes.
sometimes it's sadness, sometimes there's guilt. I'm like, did I do enough? Could I have done more? It's all those different things, and it it's been longer for you, so you could probably give me advice, but I just feel like it's never gonna change. It's never gonna go away.
The only advice I can give you is cherish every memory that you had. It's never gonna get easier. You just move on with life. You're gonna get to that moment where, you know, like for instance, I have 4 brothers and 1 sister.
Okay.
So when they have children, we want to be like, oh my God, Elias, oh right, we can't. You know what I mean? So it's like we grieve again, because it's like you're missing
Yes.
so much. So he's not going to be able to see his grandchildren. He's not going to be able to see his daughters get married. He's not going to be able to give her away. So then we go through it all the time, over and over. But what keeps us going is all the jokes we have with him. You know what I mean? Like, his son wants to box. He wants to do a boxing match or an MMA. And he just messaged me the other day, and he was like, yeah, I'm trying to get my cuerpo latino, because his dad used to say that all the time. He's like, see me, cuerpo latino. And, we would always just, and so every time we get a chance, we'll like say something that reminds us of him, because he's with us all the time. It's just sad that he can't enjoy the moments with us.
It's so crazy you say that, because my sister had a son 2.5 years ago, Luca, and my brother got to meet him and everything, but she's pregnant again, and she's going to have another baby in December, and he's never going to meet her baby, and I got married last year, and me and my wife, we want to maybe start having kids next year. And it's just crazy to think that like my brother's never going to meet my kids, it's so, but I'm glad that we're talking, because I know we're depressing everybody, but the thing is, I've been talking about this stuff, with all these interviews I've been doing for this fight, all the media stuff. We had a press conference September 1st. And from there, I've probably done a dozen of these interviews. And every time I talk, I get feedback from people saying, hey man, I lost somebody, and just hearing you talk about it made me feel better. It made me feel comforted. So if we can help anybody feel better just by talking about our experiences, then we're doing a good thing,
Yeah. I mean, our pain is not going to be in vain. Like we have to help others because you see people who don't experience these things,
Mhm.
and what happens? They get bad advice. You need to move on.
Yeah, there's a lot of that out there.
Get over it. Why are you still mourning this person? Like, I'm sorry. Like, you miss your coffee when you don't have it. What about me? Can I not miss my brother? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like people will give more value to an object that means nothing, and then they forget, the real meaning. And
Mm.
my thing is be aware. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's mental health issues. There is, health issues. My brother died of a heart attack. He was only 46 years old. So,
Wow. He was young. Wow.
yeah. So it's like, it's important for people to understand if you have some sort of pain, don't just assume it's a panic attack. Don't assume it's an anxiety attack. Go get checked out.
Hell
That's,
yeah.
I mean, get checked
Men,
out.
attention men.
Attention.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it because y'all women, you actually go to the doctor and are because you're smarter than us. A lot of men, we're stubborn. We're like, oh shit, I'll walk it off, And yeah, you need to go. You need to get things checked out.
And
I'm
it's
just realized my nose is kind of swollen. I took a couple. My nose is kind of swollen.
you were sparring before, so I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that might be
My
it.
eyes are puffy.
Yeah, but it's important to communicate.
Yeah.
It helps not only physically but mentally. And
Mhm.
that's very important. Now, how does it feel that you're going to be in the ring instead of outside the ring for this particular event?
It's the whole experience, even before the fight, has been educational.
Mhm.
Like even the press conference that we did. I've been to a million of them just because of my job. And then being on the other side of it, and like I have no problem public speaking because I speak all the time for my job. I've done fight commentary, I've hosted stuff, but having to speak as a fighter, it was so different, and everyone's looking just at me talking about a fight. It was like, whoa, okay, this is different, and it's pretty cool to go through there's been nerves. There's been some nerves and anxiety, but now that we're so close to the fight, those have pretty much gone away. Yeah, and I'm just kind of ready to do it. I'm kind of in that zone right now where I'm ready to bump. But this has been a very educational process for me. And the one thing that I've learned more than anything, because I was an athlete when I was younger, and training isn't a big deal. I was in the Marine Corps. I'm used to that. The physical part, the emotional, mental part, but doing the media stuff, I didn't realize how much energy that took.
Yeah.
Doing the press conferences, the interviews and the radio stuff. Like, wow, you work out twice a day. You just sparred. You're hungry because you got to stay on weight.
Mhm.
And then you got to, do a radio show or something. It's like, you got to be peppy and, have energy. And I'm like, oh, I just want to sleep. So that like, I have a newfound respect for the real fighters who do this, full time. I always respected fighters, but now like seeing this, I mean, I'm a fraction of a percent of what they go through, but my perspective is broadened and, my respect has grown even more.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about that. Like, how has your outlook changed when you see the fighters? Because now you're doing weight cuts. Now you're sacrificing time with your wife.
Mhm.
You're sacrificing so much. So how are you finding that balance?
What's interesting is it's harder now because I'm a grown man versus when I was young. Because I got responsibilities. I still got to cut the grass. I still got to, I'm renovating a house. We bought an old, like 60, 70-year-old house here when we moved to Atlanta, and I'm renovating it. I'm building retaining walls. I'm moving stones in the yard and stuff like that. So I still got to take care of all that business. I got to make sure my wife is pleased. There's family stuff. There's, work obligations. And I got to get 2-a-days in at the gym. And I got to cut my calories, So doing that as a kid when you're 25, like I don't want to say it's easy, but at that age, you don't have responsibilities. You don't have to answer to anybody. You don't have to please anybody. You're just kind of out for yourself, when you're young like that. When I played ball, it was like, okay, cool. We're just going to go play ball. We're going to train. And that was it. I could kind of do what I want. And now I got to do all these grown man responsibilities and make sure that I take care of business, because there's a lot of people that are going to be watching this fight. A lot of my colleagues, I can't go out there and think the joint out. I got to perform, So you feel that pressure a little bit. You do, but we're ready.
Now, the experience you went through, losing your brother, and this experience that you're going through right now, you're doing both at the same time. You're trying to honor your brother, but you're also grieving. How are you dealing with it?
That's a really good question. No one's asked me that. I feel like I'm still trying to figure that out and process that, because for months I had kind of buried my emotions and just trained and cut weight. I've cut like 30 pounds. I've cut my body fat by like 10%. And I did that in just a few months. I've been killing myself. So I think I was physicalizing the emotional pain I felt and just kind of blocking the mental stuff, just pushing it back. But now the last few weeks, I've had to talk about this stuff as part of the promotion for the fight. Mm-hmm. And it started with that presser. When we left that press conference, I was like full of anxiety, and I didn't sleep that night, and I couldn't figure out why. It took me a few days. I was really on edge after that. And I'm like, man, like the stare down wasn't bad. Like I wasn't, none of that was a problem. Speaking, wasn't bad. But then I realized it's because I had to talk about Anthony. Mm-hmm. And I hadn't talked about him for like 6 months. I had just kind of put that back here because I'm just business, And so you're so right that I am still grieving. It hasn't been a year. And I've been so focused on training and getting all this negativity out physically. I'm so focused on this date, September 16, that, I still maybe haven't 100% grieved, and there is a part of me that's kind of scared of what's going to happen after the fight, because then it's like, okay, this is over now. So kind of like back to reality, I would love to be able to say I could just turn this page and turn into a new chapter, but I kind of don't know what's going to happen, to be honest with you. I don't.
Yeah, that's something nobody knows. And even if you had an idea, it's not written in gold. You know what I mean? It's not, it's not black and white. Like you can go there and be like, okay, I'm going to fight. The fight is over. I have the closure. But what really is closure?
Yeah.
Because closure does not mean that all that pain, all of those feelings that you have are going to go away. Mm-hmm. It's not. It's going to be like.
It might come back. It might come back harder. I don't know.
But so many people think closure means boom, it's closed, it's done, it's over, I'm moving on. And it's not. It's not even close to that. It's not. It's now you're going to be hit with all these different emotions. Mm-hmm. So it's just a matter of knowing and accepting that once this fight is over, you're going to be receiving different emotions that you weren't expecting.
I might need to talk to you after that. I will be honest. I'm not even scared about the damn fight. I'm ready for that. I'm prepared. Yeah. I'm scared for what happens after it, here. You know what I'm saying? Because you kind of do have to become a machine a little bit and block things out and just focus on the physical thing. And then what happens when all that's done and I decompress? Do my emotions come back alive? And I'm just like, oh my God, this is still really heavy. This is still here, I hope not. But I won't know until I know.
Yeah. It's just know that anything can happen.
Mm.
Don't have your mindset. I mean, I don't know how you think, but don't have your mindset thinking that I'm going to do this fight, I'm going to accomplish it, I'm honoring my brother, and now I'm going to be fine. Because guess what?
I
You're
won't.
going to honor. No, you don't know.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. You're going to have layers and layers and layers of emotions. You're going to have a layer like, yes, I accomplished this for my brother. Yes, I did it. Yes, I'm bringing more awareness to people in mental health. But then at the same time, you're going to realize that, yeah, I did all this, but I still need to grieve.
Mm.
And now I still, because you're going to be grieving, your mind is going to be thinking, okay, I sacrificed all this time. I dedicated all of this, for the fight camp. Now I need to be there for my wife and for my father and for my sister. So now you're going to be dealing with more things that you weren't expecting. You know what I mean? So maybe I'm bringing it up so you're prepared for all these different things that are going to be happening.
It's almost like you've been there before. Well, I appreciate that because, yeah, I mean, the holidays are right around the corner. I'm going to be around everybody. I didn't even talk about this, but Anthony's birthday is this month, 2 weeks after the fight, and it's going to be his first birthday since he died. So that's going to be a big deal for my family, and it like I'm trying to tell myself like I'm going to give him an early birthday present, but again, I just don't know how that's going to hit. I just don't. And then there's going to be a part of me that thinks, man, he should have been there for that fight. He would have loved seeing me fight. He would have loved it. I've sparred hundreds of rounds. I've done underground stuff. I've never done an officially licensed, sanctioned fight that's on the record. So this is a big deal, and like he would have loved to have been there. He would have been screaming. So that void will be noticeable,
Yeah. One thing that you can look back and tell your children, and you can tell your nieces and nephews is, on September 16th, I walked in, stood on the canvas of the ring in honor of your uncle. And because of him, I was able to do this because even though he struggled through his mental illness, he still found a way to inspire me to move forward and do something that I've wanted to do and just didn't have that motivation to do it. But even through that, he inspired you to do it. You're honoring him. You're helping other people bring awareness to the importance of mental illness and how they need to reach out and talk to people. And it's okay to talk to people. There's nothing wrong with talking to people, especially for men. Men should know it's okay to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Call a hotline. Doesn't matter. The point is just get it out of your system, because once you let it out of your system, it makes you feel better. So you're doing that, and he has a big part of it. So if he's looking down on you, he's proud of you because, hey, my big bro is doing this for me to help others change their lives and not suffer the way I suffered. So
that's a beautiful way of putting it. That's what I got to remind myself. And I should mention too that this is a charity event. The proceeds from the tickets and the pay-per-view and everything are going to go to a facility called the Ridgeview Institute, which is here in the Atlanta area. It's a place I chose that helps people suffering with mental health, addiction, alcohol problems, things like that. The things that took my brother. So, like you said, him motivating me basically and pushing me to do this finally, to stop making excuses and follow through and do this. I'm doing it in his name, and we're going to raise money to help people. So in that way, I'm maybe the vehicle, the bridge, but he's helping people. So that's cool. That's really, really cool. And that's what I keep trying to tell myself,
Yeah, it's very important to remember that. And let's not look at the negative part of it. You know, if we could change it, you know, in an instant, we would change the outcome of what happened that day. But now we get to use him and inspire other people. And let them know they're not alone. They're not suffering. There's no need to suffer in silence anymore. And always turn to those that are there for you. You know,
Right.
there is no shame in reaching out. There's no shame in speaking to other people.
That's a good point because, you know, my brother would feel ashamed and he'd feel embarrassed and like we, you know, we try to tell him like, man, we're not judging you. We know that, you know, there's some issues and there's some things going on. You could come to us. We're here. But he would kind of like pull back because he would feel that shame. He would feel that embarrassment. And that's something that addicts suffer with. That's something that depressed people suffer with. They don't understand that, you know, in their mind, they're thinking, oh, my family thinks I'm a piece of crap. And they think this, they think that. They don't understand that people in their life love them. Mm-hmm. So, you know, if anyone out there is watching this and you know, you feel like your family is judging you or your friends are judging you because of what you're going through, you got to understand they may not understand the way your mind works. Their mind may not work the way yours works, but they're on your side. They love you and they just want you to get better. So, man, call your mom. Pick up your phone and call your mom. You'll be surprised how good it makes you feel, you know?
Yeah. Another thing that people forget is culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is a lot of pressure on culture where, for instance, for me growing up, you weren't allowed to talk to anybody. Like you were frowned upon if you reached out to a therapist or if you went to
old school.
Yeah, like way back.
Old school Roman Catholic.
Yes. Yeah. And it's
I
like,
understand that.
No, you can't do that. So then it goes through generation to generation to generation where now people don't reach out because, wait, I'm going to get labeled. Oh, wait, I'm going to be judged. Oh, you know what I mean? And not realizing that, no, you can speak to people. Mm-hmm. You can do it. So it's like we have to break that. We have to break it so there's no shame in reaching out and finding help. There's nothing wrong with it. That's the only way we can get better and we can change and we can help other people is by doing that.
Yeah, if you're depressed and you're drinking or you're doing drugs or whatever, eating like crap. Some people eat themselves to death. In America, it happens a lot. You know, you're slowly killing yourself. There's suicide that's like sudden, and then there's suicide that takes 20 years. But how many people slowly kill themselves basically in silence because of what, you know, they're feeling inside their mind or whatever? You know, you got to get out of that cycle. You know, it's like your brain is like a record, all the grooves in the record. And sometimes you got to, you know, kind of shake it up and re-groove the record and get new patterns going in your life. Human beings are habitual. We're, you know, based on patterns. You know, start just getting your ass up in the morning at 7 a.m. and going for a walk. Make your damn bed. Just something little like that can really change. It sounds crazy, but it can change your life. Because, you know, when my brother died for 2 months, I did none of that. You know, I didn't make my bed. I didn't take care of myself. Little things, you know, you stop cutting your nails, you know, you stop washing your hair. You just, but getting up in the morning and doing those little things and talking and getting things out of your system and doing something outside, whether it's walking, riding a bike, whatever, just those little things makes a difference. And you start making it a habit. A few months down the road, your life is different. It's different.
Other than bringing awareness to the mental health issues that the world is facing, what do you want to achieve from this fight?
You know, I would like to show a little bit of what I can do. People think, you know, I'm just a boxing nerd because I write about it. And yeah, I am. I'm a total boxing nerd. I'll admit it, you know. I love writing and talking about the sport, but I can handle myself. I got hands. I'm an old man. I'm 42, but I can still do my thing. So I want to show a little bit of what I could do, you know. I only got 3 rounds. That's the thing, because they wouldn't sanction it for longer than that, the fight. So all the fights are going to be 3 rounds. So I wish we had like 8 rounds, you know.
You look so sad.
Yeah. I put in 1,000 rounds of practice to do 3 rounds. Like, oh, come on. But yeah, I want to show people, you know, that I got hands. I can handle myself. That's really what I want to do.
You also have shirts for sale?
Oh yeah. Oh, right there it is. MOB, baby. Yeah, we just got some new ones in. And they're pretty nice. We spent a little extra money to get the nice material, you know, the soft wicking material, so it's nice and comfortable. So yeah, they're nice tees. They're nice.
After your experience and you got the call from letting you know about your brother, what did that, like, how did that change your outlook on, I guess, alcohol and drugs and the reason why he was taken from you?
Well, I've always been anti-drug. I don't even smoke weed. I just don't like drug. I really don't take a lot of medicine. The only thing I'll take is like ibuprofen and stuff. I do socially drink. But even that, I really try to keep in check. And, you know, holidays, weekends, you know, that sort of thing when you're with family. But, you know, I'll never know 100% what my brother was feeling. But it got worse for him. You know, it literally did start with alcohol and weed. And those were, you know, the gateway drugs to bigger stuff. And there were times where I would really, really argue with him and fight with him and be like, man, what are you doing? Stop doing this stuff, you know? And he'd say, I'm just doing it for fun, you know, he'd start doing coke, and he'd do coke on the weekends, and he'd party with his friends. And there was a while where he was, you know, selling too. And he was working with dudes that were flying stuff in from out of the country to the airport. They had a whole system of like getting this stuff around the country, and he'd just break off some for himself. And I'd be like, man, stop doing that. You know, he changed. It went from a guy that was doing this stuff for fun, which I still didn't approve of, but was still a kind of bright person. And then he got to where he became really dark, and kind of, you felt like a part of him died. And that's when it was, I didn't know at the time because I was ignorant and my family was ignorant. That's an addict. That is a person that can't leave their house without getting high. That's a person that's getting high at work. He got fired from a job because they found his pipe in the bathroom, the employee bathroom. You know, things like that were happening. And we didn't know because he hid it from us. We found out like after the fact. But it's been educational for me to look back and look at all the things that we were just ignorant about, that if I can talk about now, maybe I can help somebody help their family member. Maybe they can catch some of those warning signs that we missed, you know?
What are the warning signs that you've noticed?
A person changing their personalities. So even with, let's just stick with alcohol. Most people, when they drink, they get a little rowdy and loud, and, you know, and sometimes you drink too much and you might get sick or whatever. You know, every now and then there's, you know, things that happen. But if somebody drinks and they completely change personality, they turn mean, confrontational all the time. I'm not talking about once every 5 years they make an ass of themselves. We've all done, I've done that. I've puked at my friend's party and stuff after drinking too. We've all done that. I'm talking about every time they drink, they're blacking out. They're getting sloppy. They're changing. Like, you just see this switch. Their eyes change. You know, you know what I'm talking about. That look. That's an addict. So somebody who, you know, like, there's been many periods of my life where I like to do cleanses and stuff like that, and me and my wife, we do this stuff all the time where we'll be like, all right, no alcohol for 90 days or no sweets for 30 days. Or we just do stuff like that just for little challenges. And I asked my brother to do that stuff with me. Like, do it with me, man. It'll be fun. You know, we'll hold each other accountable. He'd never do it. He couldn't stop for 30 days. And he'd just be like, man, you're uptight, you know, stop. And it's crazy now to look back and think like, how did I not see what was going on? You know? But yeah, like now, if you asked me to give up coffee for 90 days, that might be hard. That might be, but like alcohol, yeah, no big deal, you know? But like there's people out there that need the drink to get through their life. And you may not see it because you're not around them 24/7, but there are warning signs. And I mean, I could talk about that for hours, you know what I'm saying? But that's just one that popped in my head. When you see a person change, their personality change when they drink, there's a problem there.
And what would you do now if you
Oh.
were to see that?
Yeah, it's funny you said there's a person in my life now that I think might have a problem that I'm trying to figure out how to communicate with them in a few coming weeks. I got to handle my fight first, but after that, there's a particular person I'm going to sit down and speak with because I've seen things going on, and I'm going to tell this person, I watched my brother kill himself for like 15 damn years, and I'm not letting that shit happen again. So we're going to have a talk. And the one thing, you know what, it just popped in my head. There were times where I did talk to my brother when I started to see things going on, and he wouldn't talk to me for a month at a time or 2 months or 3 months because he knew Mike's going to be mad if I'm screwing up because I'm the older brother, you know, and he's the younger brother. And I felt like I was being punished because I started holding my brother to a certain standard, and he would, not punishing me, but because he felt embarrassed and ashamed, like I was telling you before, he would pull away. And there would be a month or so where I wouldn't hear from him. And, you know, growing up, me and my brother talked every single day. We slept in the same bed, you know, like we were basically twins. So I'm like, man, this sucks. You know, I miss him. I'm going to call him. Screw it. Even if he is messing up. And looking back, it's like, no, sometimes you have to be that person that kind of draws a line in the sand and says, look, you get on this program over here. I'm not going to enable you to kill yourself slowly and do what you're doing. You could call me uptight. You could say that, you know, I forget where I come from. I got brand new, whatever you want to say. But the bottom line is I don't need to adjust my behavior. You need to adjust yours. And by the way, you can say this to parents, aunts, uncles. Okay. If you see things going on that you know are not right and you're an adult, you could say something, you know, and I know a lot of times in the family structure, we feel like we can't say things to certain people, right? If it's up the food chain, up the chain of command, you're like, oh, okay, I can't say nothing. Well, no, if you see something going on, talk, you know, and even if that person disappears for a little while, know that you did the right thing. Know that you took a stand, and you did that out of love. That's why you did it.
You just said to remember that you did the right thing and you took the stand. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say that to you. Remember,
okay,
you did the right thing and you took the stand.
Yeah.
You know, because it's easy for us to see it from the outside and tell everybody else. And then we forget, and we put so much pressure on ourselves that we forget that, oh, we actually did. You got up, you went and you got him. You helped him. You sacrificed so much the week before your wedding because he means so much to you. It's not that your fiance at the time wasn't important. It was that at that moment, you need to be the one to do that because his time was coming. You did what you needed to do. You showed him that you loved him and you cared for him. Your father did the same thing. So you question yourself, and you don't have to question yourself. Everybody would wish that the outcome was different, but at least before, look, the day that you entered that boxing gym was the day you got that call. So even before God was leading you up to that moment, he had you go drive across country to go get him, to bring him back, to let him know that he is loved, to let him know that you are there for him, to let him know all that. And as the days were going, you got married, you accomplished all this stuff, you go to the gym and you get the call. Because
Mhm.
now this is where you can continue to make the change and continue to honor him. Because you never gave up on him. You were always there for him, even until the very last day. Sorry.
Uh, Thank you. Deep down inside, I know these things,
Yes, but you need to hear it. You need
but
to be
sometimes you
reminded.
need to hear it. And unfortunately, my family members are going through their own grieving process.
Mhm.
So I don't think that they at least it feels like they don't recognize how hard I tried for him. Because I was the one who went out there. They wouldn't do it, and for years I was like, we need to do something. And finally I had enough of talking and I went and did something. Um, and I don't feel acknowledged or recognized by my family members. But what's interesting is, talking to somebody like you for the first time who's gone through something similar. You're a peer who's gone through something similar. So you can relate. And, just hearing you say that, it hit home, it broke through to me. Sometimes you just need to hear that from somebody. So thank you.
You're welcome. It's every family member grieves differently.
Yeah.
So remember, nobody knows how to communicate. Nobody knows. And just like you're questioning yourself, like maybe I could have done something more, they're going through the same thing. And unfortunately, you went through a difficult time where it took you 2 months to do the memorial for him.
Yeah.
So it's like you had to grieve that, and then kind of got settled as far as readjusting, and then boom, you have to deal with that. And now, the cycle happens again. So you guys didn't have it easy. It's like you guys went through that same scenario like twice or three times
Yeah.
within
Yeah.
a 2 or 3 month time frame.
And then with COVID and the lockdowns
COVID
and
sucks.
COVID
I mean,
sucks. God, COVID sucks. I'm so over it. But that made it worse
yes,
because, you know, my family in Detroit couldn't travel. They had lockdown there, so they couldn't leave to come to my brother's thing. So they had to join us over Zoom. I'm like, what?
yes,
So like there was some people, some friends and stuff that showed up that I could talk to live, but then I'm talking to like a screen. I'm talking to everybody there. I'm talking to a screen, and I'm just like, man, this just isn't right. But yeah, overall, I do feel like I'm in a good place, but I feel like I've been holding on to him and keeping him, with me to get through all this. And I know that I can't do that forever. I know that there's some point where I do have to completely 100% let go, and I'm just not there yet. But I'll get there.
yes, but it's not 100% letting go.
It's
It's
99%. It's
because it's how do I explain it? Like for me, I like in the beginning I was in denial. Like
yeah,
when it happened, I was like, even though they said, "Oh, we're going to the medical examiner's office to ID," I was like, "Yeah, no, that's not him." Like, so when we went, like, I still my mind was like, "Nope, nope, nope," until I saw him in the casket. Then I was like, "All right, it is him. There isn't a mistaken identity." Because you fool yourself. You give yourself all these hopes. You just that's what you do. Um, but it's like I don't think I'll ever let him go. I've accepted that he's not here. I've accepted that he won't be able to participate in a lot of family functions. he won't be able to participate on these beautiful moments in our lives. He's always going to be a part of me. And a lot of people think that just because a person passes, like boom, it's done and it's over, and it doesn't. It doesn't work that way. That your brother will always be your brother. Your brother will always be with you. Now, what's going to help is, and all these beautiful moments that you have in life, even though he's not with you, you'll be able to see him with that emotion that he had. So, like, instead of using those images and being sad and be like, oh, you know, like, oh, he would have done this or he would have done that, I find joy in remembering my brother's smile and his laughter when there's a special moment, because I know, and it's like, yeah, he would do this and he would do that. So
Yeah. Okay.
you're letting go of that pain, but you're bringing in the joy that he always gave you.
Okay.
You know, so it's not
Yeah.
necessarily, because a lot of people always say, oh, you need to get over it. You don't get over it. It's not like that. It's not. You know what I mean? Like, you'll see people, like, I'm sure if you talk to somebody who's older, 80 years old, and you ask them, hey, you know, do you remember growing up and how your mom was? I'm pretty sure the person will get teary-eyed and probably start crying because their mother meant so much to them. You don't forget the person. You don't forget that love that they gave you. You don't forget the love that you felt when you were with them.
Yeah.
It's, you know, you have that pain of that loss, but just remember that he's always going to be with you as long as you want him to, as long as you keep holding on to those beautiful memories. Let go of the bad memories. Those bad memories, that's what
Yeah.
you let go of. You let go of those negative, all that negativity.
That's what I still need to let go of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just when it's your time. Don't rush it, because if
Yeah.
you rush it, you're not going to allow that proper grieving, because then it's going to get to a point when you're almost done and then you get angry again.
That's what
Because,
happened.
and it's
That
going to happen.
literally, when I started doing the press conference, like I said, and everything, this stuff came up to the surface, and I'm like, man, like I'm still mad about this stuff.
Mhm.
Like because, you know, everything I went through to help him, and it still wasn't enough. What?
Yeah.
You still screwed up, you know, like, so there's still those feelings. And I know my dad is having the same thoughts, because I just saw him a week ago and we talked, and he's still mad too. And he's that old school generation that doesn't talk about their feeling. You know how that is.
Well, tell him to call in and he can talk to me.
Yeah, I need to have him call in. You'd love him. You'd love him. He's a character, man. But okay, that's a really good way to put it, because the bad memories, and because look, the unfortunate part is the last 2 years of my brother's life, because of COVID and everything that happened, I saw him twice. Once he was really, I went to LA to cover a fight for Ring Magazine, and he came to the fight with some friends. I was in town for a week. He didn't even come see me. And that's when I knew, oh, he's using. Because normally if I came back to town, he'd be there every day, you know. Couldn't wait to see each other. But he ignored me the whole time. And then I saw him at the fight, and he looked so bad, you know, and I could tell he had probably been high that morning. He was probably going to get high right after the fight. So there was that. And then the week that I drove him across the country, where he was detoxing, those are the last 2 times I saw my brother for the last like 2 years of his life. So he, you know, there's more bad memories recently. You know what I'm saying? The good memories were further away. So the bad memories are fresher, and I'm trying to flush that out, you know? And yeah, I know I'll get there. I know I'll get there, but it's still kind of
It's wrong.
there, you know?
Yeah. But you need to understand, or I'm going to make you aware. I'm a person who always tries to find the positive in everything. Always. Like, I will try to find that little crack of light in the darkness. So you said that he didn't see you for a week until the very last day, right? He loved you and respected you so much that He didn't want you to see him that way.
I know.
But he couldn't spend another day without seeing you. There was no way he was going to let you leave without seeing you. So that's what you need to remember. You need to remember that even though you couldn't spend all that quality time with him, he chose to see you, even in his worst conditions, because he could not stand to be without you. You were going to be leaving, and he didn't know when he was going to see you again. So he needed to see you. He needed that. So yes, you can look at it as he was not in the right state, but look at it as he loved me and respected me so much, he didn't want to see me in that state, but he knew that he needed to see me and loved me so much, he wanted to see me before I left.
Okay.
And
Man, you have a great way of putting things, man. You do this for a living? You could like be a psychiatrist, because that's a really, really good way to word it and think about it.
yeah, and even on the ride home, he knew he wasn't in a good state. He knew it.
Yeah.
He knew he wasn't in a good state.
And he knew I knew.
Yeah.
He wasn't in a good state.
He wanted you to be the one to help him. He didn't want anybody else. He wanted his big brother.
That's very true. He did say that a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to remember that he chose you. You went out there. He chose you. He could have disappeared on you. He could have done so many things, but he did it. He knew that it was time, and he chose you.
Okay.
Just like you are choosing to honor him in that ring.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a beautiful moment. From the moment that bell goes off to the moment they raise your hands, you're good.
You're going to be watching?
Yes, I am.
All right.
I'm going to be wearing the shirt.
Yeah. All right. It's in the mail. It's in the mail.
That's so, okay. If not, I will make mine. I'll take a marker marker and a Sharpie.
It should be there. It should be there by, I think, Tuesday, Wednesday. Oh, yeah. You'll have it in time.
Yeah.
Because you're up in Mass.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you'll have it. That's going to be awesome. I can't thank you enough for your support of this event. And it means a lot. And, you know, you've helped me just talking with you today. If anybody watches this and gets any help from it, then we've both done a great thing, you know?
Yes. We just need, I mean, we'll never see the results right away.
Mm.
But in a couple of years from now, they can say, hey, you remember that day? You know, Montero was doing his thing, and that was the day that I realized I needed to change. Or that could be the day that he or she, because it could be a parent, it could be a sibling, it could be a friend, it doesn't matter who it is. But your story, how you loved your brother so much that you went out there to get him, will inspire people to know that there is somebody out there who loves me, that's willing to drive out here and get me and not even expect anything in return, because a lot of people have a hidden agenda.
Yeah.
And the only agenda you had was to be there for your brother. And now you're helping others realize that, yes, somebody will be there for me because of your story. And when they see the sacrifice that you've done up until now, and you're going to be in the ring on the 16th. And then after that, you're going to be behind the mic again to tell us how your experience was, you know?
Yeah. I can't wait. You know, what's funny is I'm actually going to be doing commentary that same night because...
Wait, what fight are you then?
So there's the amateur show, and then there's the pro show.
Okay.
And after my main event, there's like 4 pro fights.
Okay.
So I got to run to the dressing room, take a shower, get changed, and then come out, and I'm doing the commentary on the same live stream my fight is on. I'm doing the commentary for the pro fight. So it's going to be a long night, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Oh my God, it's going to be amazing. I can't wait to see it. Is there anything else that you would like to share before we conclude with this interview?
No, it's been great. I would tell everybody, you know, look for me on all the social media platforms. It's Montero Unboxing, and check out my fight if you can. If you're in the Atlanta area and you want to get tickets, you could go to Ticketmaster. It's at Buckhead Theater, And if you want to get the pay-per-view, oh, Jacob's on the chat. What's up, Jacob? Jacob's going to be there. And his wife, and I think his grandchild's going to be there. So that's going to be really, really cool. But the pay-per-view, go to the WBC Network's site, the World Boxing Council. They're going to air it on their channel. So just go to their website. Just Google WBC Network, I think it is, and you'll find it. All right, Jake, I'll see you in 5 days. 5 days, brother.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Get some rest.
Thank you. Yes, I'm going to go take a nap. Well, I'm going to go eat something. Then I'm going to take a nap. And then I got to finish cutting the grass and doing my yard work. So
make sure you have plenty of gear. We don't need you injured before the fight. Okay?
Yeah. Going to take it easy.
Thank you. God bless you.
You too. Thank you. Ciao.